This video has been brought to you by ESPN+. Watch this weekend's fights for free by signing up for your 7-day free trial using the link in the description below. Achieving a KO finish is one of the most prized possessions a fighter can look for when they enter the octagon. It is something that helps the fighter gain popularity amongst their peers and the MMA fans, where they become a more recognizable name with each finish. It is only something a handful of fighters can achieve over and over again. These certain fighters over the years have put together a series of stunning finishes inside the octagon, which has captivated MMA fans across the world. The power they possess in their hands have the capability to change a circumstance in a fight with a single strike, which has helped them reach new heights in their careers. So for this video, I will be talking about the 10 heaviest hitters in the UFC 2019. Number 10. Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens is known for his heavy hands and always hunts for the knockouts whenever he steps inside the octagon. He is mainly known for his brawling fighting style, where he puts full power to every strike he throws. As he said in the UFC 205 press conference,
"I knock people out, they don't fucking move."
Yes, that is correct. If Jeremy Stephens is able to land cleanly, his opponent will be in a world of trouble. A good example of this was when he was set to face Doo Ho Choi at UFC Final 124. In the fight, Jeremy Stephens was able to drop Doo Ho Choi with a crushing right hand in the second round and followed up with some vicious elbows on the ground to get his hand raised. He has so much confidence in his abilities, where he's willing to take some shots to deliver the finishing blow. This was seen when he fought Josh Emmett at UFC on Fox 28. In the fight, it was a very close contest until Jeremy Stephens landed a looping left hook, immediately sending Josh Emmett to the ground. He followed up with some devastating ground and pound to get the KO victory in the second round. Even though he has been very inconsistent over the years, he always brings it whenever he fights and is always willing to put everything on the line, whether he wins or loses. Jeremy Stephens has the power to change the direction of a fight with a single strike and is certainly one of the heaviest hitters in the UFC today. Number 9. Cris Cyborg. Cris Cyborg is the former UFC Women's Featherweight Champion who was once the most feared female fighter on the planet for many years. She is known for her brutality inside the octagon, where she has obliterated her opponents in a very violent fashion. Her fighting style involves her pushing forward and getting the knockout victory at any cost. Since she joined the UFC in 2016, she has caused nothing but carnage inside the octagon. In her UFC debut against Leslie Smith at UFC 198, Leslie Smith tried to get into a brawl with her early on in the fight, but she would just get overwhelmed by the barrage of heavy punches from Cris Cyborg, eventually getting knocked down. Cris Cyborg would follow up with punches to get the TKO victory. Cris Cyborg pushes forward no matter what and isn't afraid to get into a brawl. This was seen when she fought Lina Landsberg at UFC Final 95 and absolutely pummeled her for 2 rounds, eventually finishing her by TKO. Another performance that sticks out the most was when she faced Yana Kunitskaya at UFC 222. In the fight, Cris Cyborg was able to overwhelm Yana Kunitskaya with the powerful strikes and fiercely beat her down to get the TKO victory in the first round. Even though she lost to Amanda Nunez in such a quick fashion, I believe it doesn't take away the fact that she had a long reign as one of the most dominant female fighters on the planet. Cris Cyborg is a legend in the female weight class and will always be known for her ferocious fighting style. Number 8. Amanda Nunez. Amanda Nunez is the current UFC Women's Bantamweight and Featherweight Champion whose rise towards the top has involved her just brutalizing her opponents with her ferocious power. Her brute strength, combined with her great striking, gives her the ability to cause enormous amounts of damage to her opponents. A good example of this was when she faced Sarah McMahon at UFC Final 73. In the fight, Amanda Nunez dropped Sarah McMahon with a solid right hand, which opened the opportunity to sink an rear naked choke to get her hand raised. We saw the repeat of this fight in a title fight against then champion Miesha Tate at UFC 200, where in the fight, she picked her shots one by one, breaking Miesha Tate down. She eventually dropped her with her right hand and sank in a rear naked choke to become the new UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion of the world. Over the years, her striking skills have shown massive growth, which has made her into a dangerous challenge for the bantamweights. She likes to throw looping punches, which fully utilize the power she has to cause maximum amount of damage to her opponents. This was seen in her first title defense against returning former champion Ronda Rousey at UFC 207. In the fight, she was able to stun Ronda Rousey right away and followed up with more hard shots for the fight to be called off, earning a TKO victory in just 48 seconds. The true extent of her power was fully displayed when she moved up to the featherweight division and challenged then UFC Women's Featherweight Champion Cris Cyborg at UFC 232. In the fight, Cris Cyborg came out guns blazing, trying to end the fight as quick as possible. Amanda Nunez remained calm and patient and was able to stun Cris Cyborg with a crushing left hook. She next took it up a notch and threw a barrage of heavy shots one after the other, where she landed the final blow to get the knockout victory. Amanda Nunez had just become the first female fighter ever to hold 2 titles in 2 different weight classes. With the recent win over Cris Cyborg, Amanda Nunez has solidified herself to be the hardest puncher in all of the women's divisions put together. Number 7. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is the former UFC featherweight and lightweight champion whose rise towards the top involved him just sleeping his opponents in a brutal fashion. His fighting style involves him using a variety of different punches and kicks, which sets up his knockouts. His fighting style is all about timing as he looks to counter-strike his opponent, slowly breaking them down. A good example of this was when he faced Jose Aldo at UFC 194. In the fight, we saw Conor McGregor very light on his feet, where in an instant he was perfectly able to time his left hand as Jose Aldo came in to completely knock him out cold in just 13 seconds of the first round to become the new UFC featherweight champion of the world. The confidence he has in his abilities has helped him break down his opponents both mentally and physically inside the octagon. We saw him demonstrate this in his title fight against Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205. In the fight, Conor McGregor was able to remain calm in the striking exchanges, where yet again he was able to perfectly time his punches as Eddie Alvarez came in to engage, resulting him in securing many knockdowns in the fight. In the second round, he was able to time a flurry of punches together, dropping Eddie Alvarez to the canvas, and followed up with punches to get the TKO finish, where he became the first fighter ever to hold two titles simultaneously. Conor McGregor is one of the heaviest hitters in the lightweight division, where he has the ability to change the outcome of a fight with a single strike. Number 6. Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is the former UFC welterweight champion and is one of the hardest hitters in the UFC today. He is very big for the 170-pound division and possesses the power to make it a bad night for any fighter. He likes to use his signature overhand right, where we have seen him flatten some top-name fighters. A good example of this is when he faced Josh Koscheck at UFC 167. In the fight, he was able to send Josh Koscheck to the canvas with the vicious right hook, getting his hand raised with the knockout victory. A most notable example is when he faced Robbie Lawler at UFC 201. In the fight, he was able to send Robbie Lawler flying across the octagon with the overhand right and followed up with punches to become the new UFC welterweight champion of the world. The freakish power he possesses is a challenge for any fighter who is willing to pressure him inside the octagon. We saw this in Tyron Woodley's fourth title defense when he faced rising welterweight prospect Darren Till at UFC 228. In the second round of the fight, Darren Till came out aggressive and pressured Tyron Woodley against the cage. Tyron Woodley was able to unleash a heavy overhand right, knocking Darren Till down. He followed up with some vicious ground and pound to eventually get the Darce choke finish. When Tyron Woodley is on form, he is a very dangerous fight for anybody. He has the power to give any welterweight trouble at any given day. Number 5. Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis is one of the most vicious strikers in the UFC's heavyweight division, who has racked up some of the most devastating knockouts in the promotion. He likes to brawl with his opponents, which has worked in his favor many times, which has resulted in his opponents getting knocked out cold. We have seen this many times during his fights. A good example of this is when he faced Gabriel Gonzaga at UFC Fight Night 86. In the fight, he was able to catch Gabriel Gonzaga with a series of uppercuts against the cage to get the knockout victory. Another good example of this is when he faced Travis Brown at UFC Fight Night 105. In the fight, he unleashed a barrage of strikes against the cage, and in the second round he was able to catch Travis Brown coming in with a thunderous right hand which dropped Travis Brown like a sack of potatoes. He followed up with some vicious ground and pound to get the TKO victory. His wild striking ability allows him to generate enormous amounts of power, and if he is able to connect cleanly, it is game over for his opponents. This was seen in his more recent fight against Alexander Volkov at UFC 229. After losing the first 2 rounds, he connected with the clean right hand in the last 20 seconds of the third round, dropping Alexander Volkov to the canvas. He next followed up with punches to get the TKO victory. Derrick Lewis hits like a truck, and many fighters are overwhelmed by the power he possesses. He puts full power into every strike he throws, and likes to finish the fight as soon as possible. Number 4. Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos is the former UFC heavyweight champion who has shown his one-punch knockout power in the division many times during his career. His fighting style is purely focused on boxing and has displayed his great striking skills well inside the octagon. In his fights, he likes to stay in the pocket with his opponents and looks for effective counters to land his strikes. He has displayed his vicious power many times inside the octagon. A good example of this was when he faced Fabricio Verdum at UFC 90. In the fight, he was able to drop Verdum to his knees with a vicious uppercut and followed up with punches to get the TKO victory. His one-punch knockout power was also displayed in his title fight with Cain Velasquez at UFC on Fox 1. All it took was an overhand right from Junior Dos Santos to win the UFC heavyweight title. In his recent resurgence, he has shown a lot of maturity in his striking, where he looks for the right opportunities to pick his shots. We saw in his fight with Tai Tuivasa at UFC Fight Night 142 that remaining calm and composed will lead to the finish. He was able to catch Tai Tuivasa coming in with a heavy right hook, dropping him to the canvas. He next followed up with punches to get the TKO victory in the second round. He was able to remain calm in his fight with Derrick Lewis at UFC Fight Night 146, where he steadily picked his shots at the right time, slowly breaking Derrick Lewis to eventually getting the TKO victory in the second round. Junior Dos Santos has one of the best boxing skills in the division, which has helped him utilize his power to gain many finishes in his UFC career. Number 3. Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero has been a top contender in the middleweight division for many years, who has used his power to flatten some big name fighters in the UFC. He has an Olympic level wrestling background, but he prefers to show his inhumane power to send his opponents to the Shadow Realm. In his fights, he likes to start off slow, looking for vulnerabilities his opponent may have. Once he is comfortable, he explodes out of nowhere, which has resulted in with some of the most scariest finishes in UFC history. A good example of this was when he faced Luke Rockhold at UFC 221. In the third round, he was able to drop Luke Rockhold with a heavy left hand and followed up with one of the most vicious uppercuts to be ever witnessed, almost decapitating him. Another good example is when he faced Chris Weidman at UFC 205. In the third round, he flew in the air and landed a knee from hell, immediately sending him to the Shadow Realm. Even at the age of 41, Yoel Romero hasn't shown any signs of slowing down, rather he's becoming more and more scarier in each fight. In both of his title fights with Robert Whittaker, we saw him land huge power punches which had the champ on the fence many times. Even though he lost both fights, it shows what kind of a beast Yoel Romero truly is. Yoel Romero is certainly one of the heaviest hitters in the UFC today, where his power is just on a whole different level compared to his opponents. Number 2. Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou is one of the most scariest heavyweights in the whole UFC's heavyweight division, who possesses one of the most vicious knockout power to be ever seen. He is mainly known for his striking skills and his immense power. He has shown in almost every fight that he only needs one clean strike to put the lights out. He stands 6 feet 4 inches tall and has a reach advantage of 83 inches. He is almost able to catch all of his opponents from awkward angles, sending them flat to the canvas. A good example of this is when he faced Andrei Arlovski at UFC on Fox 23. In the fight, he was able to land a crushing uppercut moving backwards as Andrei Arlovski came in, sending him flat to the canvas. We saw his superb countering ability in his next fight when he faced Alistair Overeem at UFC 218. In the fight, he was perfectly able to time a vicious uppercut, knocking Alistair Overeem out cold. In his last 2 recent fights, we saw Francis Ngannou can change the outcome of a fight within an instant at any time. He was able to stop rising heavyweight contender Curtis Blades at UFC Final 141 in 45 seconds with a huge heavy hand early in the round. He would follow up with punches to get his hand raised. In 2019, he would face his biggest test to date, where he welcomed back former 2-time UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez back into the octagon at UFC on ESPN1. It would only take Francis Ngannou 26 seconds to make quick work of the former champ, finishing him by knockout in the first round. Francis Ngannou is without a doubt one of the most heaviest hitters in the UFC today, where his crazy power has helped him crush some big name heavyweights. He has done so much in a short amount of time, where if he continues in his winning ways, he will definitely hold UFC gold in the near future. Number 1. Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic is a former UFC heavyweight champion and he possesses one of the heaviest hands in the weight class. He is a well-rounded fighter who possesses great striking and has shown in his fights that he only needs a few strikes to end the fight. He is known for his short stiff right hand, which has flattened some of the best heavyweights in the world. In a short amount of time, he is quickly able to target his opponent's chins accurately, generating a lot of force which inevitably crumbles them. A good example of this was when he faced Andrei Arlovski at UFC 195 for the number 1 contender spot for the UFC heavyweight title. In the fight, Stipe Miocic was able to land a clean right hand to Andrei Arlovski's temple, staggering him. He followed up with punches to get the TKO victory in just 54 seconds of the first round. He also made quick work of then champion Fabricio Werdum at UFC 198, where he was able to crack Werdum with the right hand as he came charging at him, knocking him out cold, winning the UFC heavyweight title. He will next go on to defeat Alistair Overeem by knockout at UFC 203 and finish Junior Dos Santos by TKO at UFC 211. Stipe Miocic was able to break the record for the most title defenses in UFC heavyweight history, which has solidified him as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. There's no denying that he's definitely one of the heaviest hitters in the UFC today. Stipe Miocic has accomplished quite a lot in his UFC career so far, but I believe he will definitely hold UFC gold in the future again. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when we post videos. So that was my personal list of the 10 heaviest hitters in the UFC 2019. Let me know your honorable mentions in the comment section below. Also check out my last video where I talk about the 10 fights to make after UFC 236, Holloway vs Poirier 2, and my other video where I talk about the 5 UFC champions who could hold 2 belts in 2019. And also if you guys want to watch the fights for free this weekend, sign up to the ESPN Plus 7-day free trial using the link in the description below. I appreciate your support and I'll catch you guys next time.